Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in to this first-time homebuyer program. My name is Ravi Bindi, and I want to welcome you all to this first-time homebuyer webinar. And myself and my friend, my partner, business partner from BMO, Shams, will be kind of co-hosting with me, and she will answer all the mortgage questions you have. And I will go over uh, just the market stats and what is happening in the marketplace and what we're seeing right now. All right. So a little bit about myself. I've been a realtor since 2005. Prior to that, I was I was a real estate investor. So I invested in my first property in 1997. And since then, I've had my focus in real estate and my interest has been high in real estate, right? So, so, um, so in 2003, 2002, when my parents were looking for a place, we went through so many realtors, and that's what made me feel like, okay, I could do this role and do it really well. And then once I jumped into it, never looked back. So since 2005, I've been a realtor, and I've helped many people get into their first home, get into their investment. So I look forward to helping you as well. Now, today, this seminar is more about giving you a lot of information and giving you a lot of knowledge. All right. So here we go. Share my screen. So the first things first, what we're going to cover. We'll cover the market stats with you. Okay. So that's what I want to cover first, just to show you what the market is doing right now. This way you can see what I see as a realtor. Let me just pull that up. Here we go. And what I'll do is I'll show you section by section on what is happening in the marketplace. So here, as you can see, so every month the government, like the real estate boards, give government the stats about what the market is doing, and this company, Market SnapStats, actually organizes monthly stats in a way where it's more readable and usable, so you can actually gain financially by using this information, right? So now that we have met and we have your emails, we're going to include you in our email database. So you, every month when these stats come out, you can actually make sure you go through it just the way I'm teaching you to read through this. So here you can see, you can see my cursor right here. Let me just change that. So right here, you can see the total number of inventory that came into the market in the month of February, right? And here it shows you how many we sold. So it shows you a sales ratio of 28%. Based on following numbers every month, I think we have passed the bottom now. And we're going into a stage where it's going into a growth stage now, where we're seeing this move from 18% a few months ago to 28% now, sales ratio. So what we do is take the number of units that came into the market, and we divide it by number of sales, and it gives us a sales ratio. Anything over 20% is a seller's market. Anything under 10% is a buyer's market. So we never saw a true buyer's market. We actually saw a balanced market in most of these areas. Okay. So right now we're seeing a seller's market. At the peak of the market, this was at 89%, right? So you can imagine that this is like a kind of a soft seller's market right now. But what they do is they show you, so there's 6 parts to this page. Now, the first part here they show you how many units came in, how many units sold, but they organize it in a way where it shows you based on communities. So in Surrey, we have Bear Creek, Boulevard Heights, Bridgeview, Cedar Hills, East Newton, all the way to Wally. So they show you how many units came into all these respective communities and how many sold and what the sales ratio are for all these communities. And if you are looking at this page right here, this is for condos and townhomes. Every page, every city has 2 pages. One is for detached and the other one's for condo and townhomes. So we're looking at condo and townhomes for this purposes, all right? So here it shows you how many listings came in Bear Creek, how many sold. So you can see right away by looking at like certain sub areas, which areas have quite a bit of condos and townhomes. Like look at Wally, look at Guildford, look at Fleetwood. All these areas have quite a bit of townhomes and condos here. And look at the sales ratios, right? Can you imagine this being at 80, 90% at the peak? It was insane, right? So now what they do here is, see this number right here? They show you the same numbers. So same amount of inventory coming in, same amount selling, but here they arrange it in a way where it's more about price band. So if you say, hey, Ravi, we're looking for a condo between 600 to 700,000, well, there's 94 units that came into the market, 29 sold. It has 31% sales ratio, which means when things are coming in, well-priced units are selling. So if I pull out these 29 units, you can see right away there's a trait in terms of price per square foot in why they're selling and the other ones are not, right? So this section shows you about price band. The next section, which is section number 3 right here, they take the same square amount sold, amount of listings that came into the market, same amount sold, but now they organize it in a way where they show you between studios and 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and 4 bedrooms. And here you can see how many inventory came in and how many sold. And if you say, Ravi, we're looking for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, well, look at this, 36% sales ratio. So if you look at Central City, 600 to 700,000, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, it's about, on average, 30% of the things are selling. That's what the numbers show, right? And at the lowest of the lowest, it was at 18%, about there. Okay. So here it shows you the 4th section. It shows you month over month stats. How did month over month improve or not improve? So here it shows you we had 643 listings that came into the market, 651. So not so much difference. Now look at the solds. 116 sold compared to 182 sold, right? 57% increase in sales. And you have to ask, why did this happen? And the reason this happened is because a lot of buyers were on the sidelines waiting for Bank of Canada to say, okay, we're not raising any more rates. And these people are starting to jump in now because they feel that the market's going to turn around, they're going to be left out, and they will have to pay way more. So everyone's starting to jump in at the same time. And that's what's happening right now. And guess what that's doing to the price? It's increasing the price. The prices actually went up by 1%. And I follow this every month. And I have to tell you, every month for last year, I've seen the prices actually come down every month, -1%, -2%, right? Sales have been dropping, and I'll show you the 13-month trend in a bit so you can see it for yourself. Here, what we do is whenever you look at any prices for any units, you want to look at the price, the actual price, and then you want to look at the square footage that is inside the, right? So you don't want to add the garage in the townhome or the balcony space. everything that is inside only, minus the garage, minus the balcony space, you want to take that number and divide it by the price, and it gives you price per square foot. And when you start looking at things in terms of price per square foot, you right away see that there's deals out there that you can actually gain from. Okay. Here it shows you sale to list price ratio. The things that are selling close to asking. So you cannot negotiate anymore, unfortunately. We're in a different market now. Market is changing. It has hit the bottom. Now it's moving up. So we are at 20-year low inventory levels, and the sales are starting to happen now as well. All right. So this is what this is showing you, that things are selling close to asking price. And once you learn how to evaluate price per square foot, you will see right away what is listed for way too much and what is not, right? We had a client just recently wanted to buy something, and the listing is at $683 per square foot. And we told him, no, it should be $630. So we will wait for that listing to come down in price now. We've already told them our number. We're just waiting for them to come down in price now. And hopefully it does. And then we can gain from it, right? So you need to know your price per square foot. This way you never pay more, okay? The fifth part right here basically summarizes everything that happened the previous month. So you want to read through this. You want to look at how many properties are selling per every 10 home. This used to be like 8 out of 10 in 10 properties we're selling. Right now it's at 2.8. So this is good for our buyer. And then it shows you what are the best bets for the buyers, best bet for the sellers, right? And the biggest thing I like in this stats, these stats, is this right here, 13-month trend. I love to see how did the whole 13 months, how is the 13 months doing every month, right? So here, when I look at the 13-month trend, I always look at the last, this month right here, February 20 of 2022, right? And I want to look at what the average price was at, what the listing was at, and how many sales did we do. So right here, it shows you that the black line is the average sale prices. The red line is how much inventory came into the market. And the blue line is how many we sold, right? So here it shows you that 569 listings came in, we sold 359 listings, and average price was hovering at about 661. And guess what happened in March? Inventory went up, but also the sales went up, right? So at this time last year, that's when Bank of Canada was announcing that they're going to raise rates, and that's when the market started crashing almost. The sales started going down, right? So what we saw is, after a long time, we saw that the sales are coming down and inventory is rising. So usually it takes about 3 months, 4 months for sellers to realize that the market has changed and they're not getting the peak prices that they were supposed to get. And now they're accepting that. And as soon as 3-4 months hit, the listings start dropping. Some sell, some don't. Some people see that there's gains to be made, so they will sell that townhome for a bit cheaper to gain on that house that they want to upgrade to. Because when you are selling in this market, it makes sense to do an upgrade than downsize, okay? So a lot of people who own townhomes moved into houses. Lots of people from condos moved into townhomes. So that's what was happening here. But look at the sales, like it kept on dropping for the last 13 months, kept on dropping, sales kept on dropping. And then finally, this year, the sales are up, right? And the only reason sales are up is because Bank of Canada announced that they're not going to raise rates no more. And people started jumping in. So it'll be interesting to see on April 12th, what the Bank of Canada does. If they raise the rates, if they pause the rates. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do now. So if you look at this, as soon as the red line starts going up, the blue line starts going down. So which means supply going up, demand going down. Guess what happens to the price? It starts falling, right? It's just basic economics. And look at what happened here when sales went up, inventory's flat, prices go up. So we're going to see this happen, I think, in March as well. And I think it'll go into April, depending on what Bank of Canada says. If Bank of Canada doesn't raise rates, which is not good, then the market's going to react positively towards that. All right. Any questions before I move on to the buying process and buying cost? You can unmute if you want. All right. Next. So buying process. So what I want to do is go over the buying process now. Let me just see something. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So I want to go over the buying costs with you guys, okay? It's really important to understand a lot of this because if, just give me 1 second. The last thing you want is a surprise at the end when you are going to a lawyer. So I've done this calculation based on cost, the cost being at 900,000. And there's a reason why I did this is because the mortgage calculation is very different. A lot of people think they would need 20% to actually buy a home in Canada. You don't, right? So the way this works, and I'll go step by step really slowly, okay, is when you're buying, let's say, a $900,000 townhome, you can put 5% down on the first 500,000 you borrow, and then you have to put down 10% on the remaining balance. So in this case, 25,000 for the 500,000, and then 40,000 for the remainder balance of 400, right? Which makes it a $65,000 down payment. Now, when you are putting minimal down, you have to pay a fee called CMHC fee. So CMHC fee is a Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation insurance that you are paying. So because you're paying less than 20% down, you're considered a high ratio mortgage. And because of that, the CMHC body basically ensures the banks that if you default, they'll pay off the banks, right? And the cost is passed on to you. Now, the second part is if you're buying something brand new, if you're buying like a pre-sale, you have to put 5% down. You have to pay 5% GST, okay? So on top of your CMHC fee, you'll end up paying 5% GST on top of your purchase price. So be really mindful of this when you're looking at pre-sales, because the prices they quote you is without GST. So you have to account that into your cost as well. All right. So anything in red right here, you can actually get your, you can have that added to your mortgage, right? So CMHC fee and GST can be added to your mortgage. Now, the third cost is property transfer tax. And this you have to pay in BC and in Ontario. And the way this is calculated is it's 1% on first 200,000 and 2% on the remaining balance. So on a $900,000 cost, works out to 16,000 that you would pay at completion. So keep in mind that on top of your 65, now you have to come up with another 16, right? And a lot of people say, oh, Ravi, we're first-time home buyers, so we don't have to pay that. No, you do. If a resale is below 500,000, yes, you'll be exempt. If a pre-sale is below 750, yes, you'll be exempt. But if a resale is above 500 to 550, there's a sliding scale you pay, and then at 550, you pay the full amount. And with pre-sale, it's same thing, 750 to 800, there's a sliding scale, and then anything over 800, you pay the full amount, right? So just be mindful of this when you are buying a place, because a lot of people account only this, they forget this, and that's where they get caught at the lawyer's office because they didn't know about this. Okay. Also, number 4 right here is the cost you'll incur when you sit with a lawyer to do the conveyancing work. They charge whatever they say they charge. Some people say they charge $4.99. Some lawyers will say they charge $12.99. At the end of the day, you'll end up paying about $2,000. And now actually this has changed. So it should be about $2,000 to about $2,500, because by the time you add their fees, which might be $12.99, ordering of documents about $350, title registration, which is about $250, title insurance, which is about $150. So by the time you add all these things, and now they have software fees, they subscribe to the software and they pass the cost on to you. So you have to pay for that. By the time you pay all this, it works out to about $2,500, and that's what you should budget. Okay. Whenever you buy a place, with a brand new place, you get a year, 2, 5, 10-year warranty, and within a year you get warranty on anything, right? So what you can do is you can always move in and say, Mr. Developer, my light switch doesn't work, or my appliance doesn't work, and all that is covered under warranty. But if you're buying something used, you must get an inspection done. And it doesn't matter, you're in a multiple offer situation and whatever anyone's saying, you must get the inspection done of the unit if the unit is old. Okay. And if you can see that the unit needs a lot of work, an inspector will be the best person to come through, because we have actually negotiated a lot of things for our clients with the older places where we've paid $650, but we've negotiated another like $2,000, $3,000, because we found things that needed work, right? So it can actually work to your advantage. And when you negotiate the price at the start and you do inspection, you can actually ask the seller to repair all this for you, or give you a credit back and you get all these things done, whatever comes up in the inspection. So just keep that in mind too. Like, don't be shy of asking. Okay. Appraisal. So the way things work is banks wants to make sure that you're not paying too much for your property. So it's a second layer of almost protection, where the bank will send in an independent appraiser to make sure that the property is priced and valued correctly. And usually they charge about $350. And I think, Shams, you guys have something set up where you don't even charge that now, right? It's like, your system appraisals, isn't it?
Yes, there's a system appraisal, and there is like appraisals, like if it doesn't actually qualify for system appraisal, then we do send someone in person to go check on the properties. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So there we go. So, and then mortgage fees, there is no mortgage fees with BMO because they are employees of Bank of Montreal. And Bank of Montreal pays them. There's no fees involved. And if you are using a mortgage broker, you must be really careful because in the statement of adjustment at the lawyers, sometimes you will find that they've kind of tagged along a 1% fee, which works out to like 5 to 10 grand, right? So be very mindful of who you're working with, and just ask them these questions and get anything you ask in writing. Don't just call them, get it in writing, right? You want an email sent back and forth. Property tax again. So somebody asked me to explain the property transfer tax again. So property transfer tax is a tax government charges in BC and Ontario, where if you change hands, like the seller sells their property to a buyer, because the property is being transferred, the buyer pays a property transfer tax. This is different than your property tax. There are two different things, okay? Property transfer tax is a one-time cost to the buyer when the buyer is buying. If you're buying anything below 500,000 used, you don't have to pay this tax. If you're buying anything in pre-sale below 750, you don't have to pay this, right? But you will have to pay this if you're buying something above these costs, okay? This amount. And you can't find much under 500 anyways nowadays, right? If you're buying a one bedroom, maybe you will, but otherwise it's hard to find. But anything over 500, like a $900,000 resale, you will end up paying that amount, all right? Okay. So there's some questions for the mortgage rep, and the mortgage rep will answer this after. GST is 5% on top of the purchase price. So if this was a brand new property, 5% of 900,000 is 45,000. So 945 now you would pay. Okay. Now keep in mind that if you're renting, you're used to paying like TELUS, BC Hydro, and your utilities, right? The new things that are going to come up when you buy a place is strata fees. So account strata fees monthly as a cost on top of your utilities and then your mortgage payment. And then yearly, you'll have to pay property taxes. Every year you have to pay property taxes, and that comes due in July. And every year you have to buy a home insurance, okay? Just like your car insurance, there's home insurance, and based on your property type, the insurance broker will tell you how much your insurance is going to be. With strata, townhomes and condos have their own insurance, but then they recommend that you cover the deductibles of the strata insurance. So you still have to get your insurance. A lot of people also think that if they get a property that they are buying to rent out, that, oh, the tenant just needs the insurance, I don't need it. That's not true. You need your own insurance, the tenant needs their own insurance, and both insurance cover different things. So it's really important that you buy adequate insurance. One of the property managers who works with me, a house burned down in Burnaby just last week, right? The whole house burned down, and the insurance is going to cover the damages now for them. So it's really important that you have insurance for any sort of accidents that may happen. All right. So minimum deposit percentage. So minimum deposit amount is 20% to not pay this CMHC fee, right? So to avoid this CMHC fee, you have to put down 20% of 900,000, which is 180,000. Sometimes it becomes the cost of doing business. And I've had a couple where they bought something from me in 2020, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and they put 25 grand down, and 5% down, paid the CMHC fee. But that apartment raised in value by about 150 to 180,000. And we recently sold it and we bought a townhome, right? So now they took all that equity and they bought the townhome. So sometimes it becomes cost of doing business. And when we meet, we can, like, I can evaluate your situation and kind of guide you through the process that should you take on that cost or should you not, right? So we can talk about this one-on-one when we meet, all right? Okay, so going to the buying process now. Any other questions, guys? General questions. Yeah, so there, before I move on, there's one question. As a first-time home buyer, is it recommended to invest in apartment or townhome? We are also comparing housing prices in Edmonton and Vancouver and couldn't come to any conclusion. Okay, so I've been following the Edmonton, Calgary market quite a bit. And if you look at their, just Google it, and look at their price history for last 30 years, and you'll see that it's like a straight line, a bump, straight line, a bump. And in BC, you'll see that the line goes like this, and then it just climbs up, right? So what I find is your money will do more for you here than there. And if you find something here, like if your goal is to buy a detached home and you cannot afford a detached home, and your affordability only shows you can afford a condo, then start with the condo and let that appreciate, and then sell that and buy your townhome, and then let that appreciate, and then sell that and buy your detached, right? And if that's your plan, we can actually look at numbers. We can show you how to evaluate certain areas and how to pick the right product in the right place and make up a game plan for you. With this couple, we had that same thing in mind, and they gained 150,000 because of that advice, right? And now they're into a townhome where they've gained quite a bit, and because the market moved up in 3 months, they've already gained about 80 grand in 3 months because of our timing, and because I went to them and told them, okay, it's time to move. Let's pack and let's sell this and let's buy a townhome, because this is where townhomes are going, right? So we can help you understand that as well. Through the townhome will appreciate more than condos. Do you know what will appreciate and by how much? In my experience, what I've seen is that when the rates go down from like 3% to 1.5%, certain types of homes pick up in value. And you know exactly what picked up: detached houses. And as soon as detached houses pick up and it becomes unaffordable, that's when townhomes start picking up. And that's what had happened during the pandemic. And as soon as time came for condos to pick up in price, what we saw is Bank of Canada start announcing that, look, we're going to raise rates, and then the war happened, and then a bunch of supply issues happened. And that's where we saw that there was that pause in between. Nobody was knowing what is happening in the marketplace. And then all of a sudden, house prices dropped. And then all of a sudden, townhome prices dropped. Meanwhile, condos were doing well, right? And as soon as the rates went up to like now almost 5.5 to 6%, we are still seeing condos are what people are qualifying for. And condos always do well in a market where the rates are higher, right? And now when the rates drop from 5.5 to, let's say, 5 to 4.5 to 4, you have to think what price range will do well. And then you have to say, okay, if this price range will do well, what fits into that? Is it condos? Is it townhomes? Is it houses? So in this case, condos and townhomes are going to do well as rates start coming down, right? And historically, that's what I've seen it do. And knowing this information, I actually bought something in September myself, knowing what is about to happen. And with inflation coming down, rates pausing, hopefully, during September, that's what we were thinking, that it will happen in New Year's, and it did. And I gained financially because of that decision that I made in September to pick up a 2-bedroom condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 850 square feet for like $589, right? And right now things are selling $650 and $650 plus. So knowing this information now, how do you gain financially moving forward? And this is what we show you. Like, I'm not a Zoom person, so I can't, like, I like drawing and making sketches and making people understand through that. And when we meet, like, I'll show you. I'll show you what I see as a realtor. I'll show you what I see is happening. And I've been saying this since last year, that condos are going to do well. Start picking up condos, right? And the people who did really well, and the townhomes, the lower end townhomes. So there we go. So moving on. Today, so this is the buying process. I've kind of done a little flow chart here, so you can understand how this works. Today we meet. The next step is to get a mortgage pre-approval, because what we found is when the rates were going up, people thought they would qualify for 800, 900 to $1 million, but now they were qualifying for 700, 750 or 600, right? And what we found is when we take people out and show them $900,000 townhome and they're not pre-qualified, guess what happens? They get a shocker when they apply for a mortgage at that point, and they find out that they don't even qualify for that now. And they're disappointed, we're disappointed, and we wasted all this time. So what we recommend is get a mortgage pre-approval done. And then once the mortgage advisor gives us a number to work with, then we start working with you, right? And what we do is, based on your needs, we find out what your needs are, and we book tours for you. So we'll book tours for you. We'll go pick up keys. We'll arrange everything. We'll print out the feature sheets, show you the market value of all these homes, comparables. And in the tour, we'll go from one home to the other, to the other, to the other. And all you have to do is show up, right? Now, when we go for a tour, because we really understand your needs by asking you a lot of questions, you'll find that out of the 5 to 10 properties we show you, you'll like something. And as soon as you say, okay, Ravi, we like property number 4, what do we have to do next to own this property? So the terminology offer comes in. You have to make an offer, right? An offer cannot be verbal. So I cannot say, hey, Mr. Listing Agent, you are asking 600 for this. Can we offer you 590? It doesn't work that way. It has to be done on paper. It has to be done in writing. Both parties have to sign for this to be an accepted offer, okay? So offer consists of 3 parts: price, dates, subjects. So let's say if a seller has listed their 2-bedroom, 2-bath for $625, and we tell them, well, no, we want your place at $620. And they say, no, our property is worth more, so we want $625 full price. So we offer them $625, and we say, okay, fine, here you go, $625. And then what happens is they say, well, we want we tell them we want to complete at the end of May, right? And they may say that, no, I don't want to complete at the end of May. I want to complete at the end of July, right? So we agree on July, but then we tell them, well, if we're agreeing on dates, then lower the price down, right? So 620, and then we agree on that. And and then what happens is we're saying that Mr. Seller will buy your place at this price, will complete on the deal on this date. So completion date is when you become the owner on paper. Possession date is when you get the keys, which is the next day after. And adjustment date is when taxes are adjusted and strata fees are adjusted. So that's adjustment dates for the lawyers, right? So we're telling the seller on paper that, look, we're agreeing to this price, we're agreeing to this dates, subject to my financing coming through, subject to inspection coming in fine, subject to the property disclosure statement, which is a questionnaire seller must fill out in good faith. And that becomes part of the contract. So subject to all these documents, us reviewing all these documents, making sure that the property is in a good condition. Okay, so that's what we want to do when we read through these. So title search, we have a lawyer who reviews the title now. We don't do it. We don't ask you to pay $500 and go take the title to a lawyer and review it. We get the lawyer to review the title for you, and then we give you their summary of the title. All right. Now, insurance. We have insurance broker that we work with. She's amazing, and she will kind of show you exactly what you need in terms of insurance. And we need to understand what the strata insurance policy is. Are they renewing the strata policy, the insurance policy, in between the time we made an offer till completion? Because if they are, and the insurance company doesn't approve it, you cannot complete. So it is really important that you understand about what the strata policy is and what their water deductible is. And if it's like 450,000, it's a building you want to stay away from, right? And we help you do all this. Strata documents, there's a lot of documents we order, right? Anything older you're buying, like anything over 7 years, we want to make sure that we read through the depreciation report. It tells us what the building is going to go through for next 30 years, right? What they are planning to replace and what their plans are. And some of these projects, some of these buildings where we have reviewed the strata docs, especially in Burnaby and US, where we've found that like our clients love the place. We have made an offer subject to reading all these documents, right? They are planning how they'll place their furniture. And at that point, we're telling them, look, this building is not a good building, guys. Look at how much repairs coming along. And one of the buildings I remember in Burnaby was my client would have to pay $74,000 towards a special levy, right? A special levy. What is a special levy? Special levy is where the building does not have enough savings, where they say, okay, we don't have enough savings, so everyone pitch in for the repair. So you just want to make sure that a building is not doing nothing. You want to make sure that the building, if a building's not doing nothing, that's not good either, right? You want them to do something, but $74,000 worth of repairs it's too much on top of the price you're paying, right? So my job is to read through this, and if I see a red flag, I will let you know. It doesn't matter how much you like the property. I want you to back out, right? And then the way it works is in between this time, while you are doing your subject due diligence, which we call it. So that might be, we made an offer on March 28th. Subjects are supposed to remove on April 20th. In between that time, you can back out, right? And you have paid nothing. But let's say on April 20th, everything was fine. You love the property. Strata documents came out fine. Insurance is fine. Title has no defects according to the lawyers. Everything's fine. Now, on that day, you remove subjects, which means when you remove subjects, you give a deposit. So the one takeaway from this is that when you make an offer, you never give a deposit. You give the deposit only after you remove subjects, okay? So on March 28th, when you're making an offer, you will not give a deposit. You will only give deposit if you remove conditions. If you don't, there is no money exchanged. Now, one of the good things about tying up the property, making an offer on that exact day, is that anyone, once the seller accepts that offer, anyone who wants to make a higher offer, the seller cannot accept that offer because he's already accepted your offer, which means you have to back out and then the seller can go to the other person. But if you decide, okay, let me think about it, let me take 2-3 days to think about it, April 2nd comes and you want to make an offer, by that time, somebody already has made an offer. And this happened to us just recently with one of our buyers where they wanted to sleep on it. Now they can't sleep in it because they waited too long, right? So April 20th, you remove subjects, you give deposit, you sign all the documents that say, okay, I'm moving forward. And once you've done that, now the sale is firm, okay? Now the sale is firm and now you're moving forward. And then after you remove subjects, there's things to do. Like you have to tell us who is your law firm that you'll be using to do your convincing work. You have to inform TELUS or Shaw. Some of these guys, some of these companies are so busy that they're booked up 2 weeks in advance. Imagine having no internet for 2 weeks, right? BC Hydro, you have to let Hydro people know that you are moving in on a certain date, and you can call them in advance and let them know. And on that day, the Hydro comes under your name. Insurance, you must get the insurance. A lot of people take this lightly. In my 25 years of being an investor, I personally know at least 4 or 5 people whose homes have burned down. And if they did not have insurance, they would be in so much trouble because now it's your expense, right? So it's, yes, it costs $1,000, $2,000, whatever it costs. It's completely worth it to get the insurance and get the proper insurance. Don't cheap out on it and pay $100 less a year, but pay that $100 more and get the top-notch insurance. All right. Book movers. If you are moving into a condo, you need to let the strata property management company know that you're moving in, and to book the elevator, pay your move-in, move-out fee, right? So you have to set all that up. And what happens is that deposit, you write not, so keep in mind, you never write a deposit to the realtor or the seller or the developer. You always write it to like Royal, I work for Royal LePage. So you write it for Royal LePage and Trust. When you're buying a pre-sale, you write it for under lawyer's name, right? And you never write it for the developer directly, all right? Just keep that in mind. From realtor's office, so when you write that deposit that comes to our office, we pass that on to your lawyer towards completion date. Your mortgage rep will pass on information to your lawyer. The seller's lawyer will pass on information to your lawyer. They will draft all the documents for close to completion, and they'll say, okay, this has to be July. So they'll call you close to completion date. They will ask you, come close to completion date, because your completion is a few days away, and they'll get you to sign all the documents. They'll get you to bring a bank draft. So they'll say you've paid $25,000 deposit. Let's say you have to pay another $75,000 down. So they'll say, okay, bring the 75,000 plus the legal fees, plus the prorated taxes, plus the prorated strata fees, plus title insurance. So by the time you add this up, like I showed you, it'll work out to like another $2,500 plus your property transfer tax. So just keep that in mind. All right. Once you do this and you sign off at the lawyers, on 31st on completion date, you don't need to be physically at the lawyer's office. They will call you and they'll say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we have successfully registered the title under your name. And here's the title registration number. Congratulations, you're the new owner, right? Or on that day, they may say, well, we had some problems. We had some problems with the title and we could not register you. And here's why. And we're working on registering you as an owner, right? Anyways, once they register you and everything's done, on this day, you get the keys and you move in. And that's how the buying process works, all right? The main thing you wanna understand is that when you make an offer, guys, like this market is crazy and anything that is priced well. And when I sit down with you, I'll show you this, that how to evaluate market value, because I need pen and paper to write things and show you numbers and how to derive to like what is a good market value. And once you see this, you'll be able to say, Ravi, let's make an offer now, like today, right? Let's not wait. And that's what we want to do. We want to tie up the property. We've got some properties because we didn't wait for too long. We made an offer right away. Right now, what is happening is we're seeing multiple offers. So the multiple offer thing is starting again, where you come in on March 28th, they say, well, on March 30th, we're taking all offers. So if you want to make an offer, make an offer. And what we're seeing is crazy people arise again, and they're making 100,000 over asking. We made an offer on a property in Vancouver just recently. This property was listed at 1.69, and we told our clients he has to go 1.8, and that's the starting point. So 1.8 to at least 2 million. So we went 1.8. They had 25 offers, 4 of them without subjects, and somebody paid more than 2 million. You should not be doing this, right? As a buyer, you should not be doing this. And we told our client, it's actually good that that person got it, good for them. But we would not advise you to pay that much money for a property, okay? So this is the selling process. The next part, if you guys don't have any questions. Oh, thanks, man. The next part is, thanks for the great testimonial. The next part is mortgage. So now you can ask your mortgage questions. You can put it on the chat. You can unmute yourself. But Shams going to go over her presentation and talk about mortgages, and do ask questions, because mortgage environment has changed now, and you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, getting the right product, because you sign up for 5 years. It's such a mistake, right, Shams?
Definitely. So
Yes.
let me share my actual screen, and I'll answer all the questions that we have on the chat as well. So we'll do it quickly because I think we have like 6 minutes to go, right?
You can take a few more minutes. That's fine.
Okay. So let me actually just share my screen.
So while you're pulling that up, I'm just going to read through some questions here. What do we need to ask a mortgage broker, mortgage rep, mortgage advisor, I guess, right? Basically, how much you qualify for, and give them your documents so they can tell you what you qualify for. But I'll let Shams do answering of
I
questions about
think
mortgage.
that question, Ravi, was for the fees that you were talking about as well, for the percentage and all that, when you were
Yes.
actually sharing that cost and everything. What Ravi meant is that because for mortgage brokers, like when it comes to mortgage specialists or any representative from the banks, we don't charge anything because we do get paid by the bank. But when it comes to mortgage brokers, they do take percentage of the mortgage amount. That's for their fees, and also there is cost like actually other than that there's some costs. That's what Ravi meant, is like you do need to get that in writing from them, so that way you are aware before you actually start the process for the mortgage. That's what Ravi meant. I believe that answers the question.
Hmm.
Okay, so just let me know if you can actually see my screen. Ravi, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect.
Just sometimes I have a problem when I'm actually going to the next slide. Just let me know if you guys can't see the slides, okay? Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna start with first with the product that we do offer here at BMO. So how we can help you here at BMO, we can actually help with home purchases as conventional mortgage and homeowner ready line. We can help with mortgage transfer, mortgage switches. We can help with with mortgage refinances as such as like debt consolidation and purchases another property from pulling equity from your existing home. We can help with purchasing investment properties, first or second or third one. We can help with mortgage HELOCs or actually locks as what is known with. So it's pretty similar as what Ravi had shared how the process works for us. We actually start with our initial meeting with the client, which is we start our chat with you to get to know you, to get to know your financials, to get to know as your plan, where you are planning to buy, how much is your budget, to get to know your financial, which what do you do for a living, where do you work, how much you make with your income, what's your plans for down payment, have you saved your down payment or are you starting to save your down payment. We start like actually putting a plan for you. If you haven't started saving for your down payment, we can help you with start saving that. If you have already start saving for your down payment, we can see what options you have and what programs you do qualify under, which like 5% down payment, 10% down payment, or 20%. With all that, we actually get to get the idea of from the first initial meeting in order for us to start the process for the pre-approval, which is Ravi have actually mentioned as well. We do recommend all clients to start a pre-approval process with us. So that way we can get the idea of like how much you do qualify for with the bank, and also the realtor will know how much exactly the maximum possible you do qualify. So when you go shop around, you do know how much the maximum you'll be putting an offer with, and then from there you can actually start negotiating the price with the seller, and then you know your budget, and also you know how much your monthly payment going to be, how much your expense is going to be, and how much your rate is going to be. From there, we start actually submitting the application and get you the approval. So usually the application is good for 6 months that we hold the pre-approval for, or the approval process is for good for 6 months. And we also hold the rate for you for 130 days, which is it's almost like 4 months with BMO. So once you actually have the pre-approval, you start going shopping around, you put an offer. Once you have an offer, we actually move to the next process, which is the formal approval, which is this is when we start validating your documents. We start getting all the terms and conditions satisfied. We send someone to get an appraisal done and checking the property that meets the bank standard, and also to make sure that actually the price you have put in, it is actually with the market, not it's actually more or less, just to make sure that what you're buying actually meets everything, all the standards that possible. Also, like sometimes we don't need an appraisal done because some properties that actually meets the requirement, which is we do work with CMHC, which is the insurance company. So those properties are actually already approved by the federal government. So some properties, they don't require an appraisal because there is already an appraisal done on them. So those ones we can actually get those properties moved faster for you. So we might be able to remove subject faster for you. Once we get the 100% approval, we get actually all the documents sent into the lawyer. And from there, you can actually meet with the lawyer, sign, and then proceed with getting your keys from there for the closing. There is like few things that we actually recommend clients to know, especially when it comes like to first time home buyer. There's few terms you do here with mortgages: open mortgage, closed mortgage, fixed, variable, conventional, insured, and not insured mortgages. With all those terms that actually what we like to actually let our clients know, we sit down with them and we explain to them what's the difference, what's an open mortgage, what's a closed mortgage, and what it comes with it. So let's start with like an open and closed mortgage. So the difference between an open and closed mortgage. So with an open mortgage, it's basically an open mortgage. It's a mortgage that you can actually pay at any time with no penalty. Usually the open mortgage, it's good for that you buy for a shorter period of time. You're basically waiting for money to come in that you're going to be paid off, and you don't need any mortgage for a long time. Usually those terms are actually for either 1 year or 3 year variable. And these ones are actually, there's no penalty. So whenever you pay it off, it's going to be paid off and closed, and the bank will remove their name from it. So that's what it is. That's what's open. But usually the open terms are actually very high interest. Usually like it's around like 7 to 8%, even when the market is actually has like low interest rate. With the closed mortgage, which is those on the regular term that we use, it is the regular mortgages. So it comes like into 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. Most likely that people go with is 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. So those ones, the closed terms, what it means by closed, that if you were to pay it off to the bank, there will be a penalty paid. So you'll be actually paying a penalty if you were to break the term or if you were to pay it off. But with those mortgages, there is actually prepayment options to the bank that offer you. With Bank of Montreal, there is actually 10% or 20%. It depends which mortgage that actually you are getting with us, which term you are getting with us. Also, there's 20% lump sum payments you can do, or there's
Shams,
20.
your
Yes,
slides are your slides are not changing.
it's not changing. Yeah,
No.
give me one sec. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm just gonna stop the slideshow. I'm just gonna share it like this. Do you see it right now?
Yeah.
Sometimes we have this issue. Okay,
Maybe
so
scroll down your presentation, maybe.
yeah, okay. So sorry, like, so I'm just gonna go here. So here where I was like actually talking about. So this is the open and closed mortgages. So yeah, so with the closed mortgage, there is the prepayment option. So either by 10% or 20% lump sum payment per year, or you can increase your payment or decrease your payment by 10 or 20%. It depends which mortgage you are getting with us. The next option that we do have, which is fixed or variable, which is most people actually have been hearing this a lot lately with the market and all the increases that it is. So the difference between a fixed and a variable mortgage, the fixed, if you would like to actually have a mindset, you don't want to actually think about your payments actually changing. Nothing is actually to be worried about for the next like 3 years or 5 years. Definitely your choice is actually to go with the fixed rate. Your payment will remain the same for the amount of the term. Like if you are on the 3 year term, your payment won't change. No matter what happens with the market, if it goes up or down, your rate will remain the same, your payment will remain the same until the maturity. At the time of maturity, we will see whatever the market is at that time, and then you will renew it. You are able to renew it into a variable or fixed at the time of renewal. You don't always have to renew it into a fixed. That's up to you. The other option you have a variable. The variable is always linked to the market. So whatever is the prime rate, which is the Canada prime rate, if it goes up or down, you always have a discount of the prime. So usually the variable is always lower. That's why most people like to go into variable. The variable gives you more flexibility. So it gives you like the lower payment. It gives you like a lower penalty if you were to pay it off. It gives you like better flexibility with like all your mortgages. And you're also able to switch it into fixed with no penalties if you would like. The variable with Bank of Montreal only comes into a 5-year variable, but you're always able to actually switch it into a fixed if you would like to. That's what gives you two. So those two, like the open, closed, variable, and fixed, all available into all our mortgages. So the mortgages that we have, so there is a conventional mortgage. The conventional mortgage, which is like Ravi have briefly talked about earlier. Conventional mortgage is a regular mortgage where you put 20% down, and that's basically your equity. And you only borrow 80% of your property value from the bank. And usually when borrowing 80% of the property value, the approval comes from the bank only. And that will be actually easier to get approved for, because the bank can definitely make any exception possible we can do to help you to actually get the mortgage needed for you. When you are paying less than 20%, 5% or 10% as down payment, the approval comes from the government, which is by either CMHC, Sagan, or CGI, which is those are three actually insurance companies that in Canada. So they have to approve the deal, and they have to actually approve your income documents. They have to approve the property you are purchasing, if it was like condo, a house, or a townhouse. So usually they have higher values, they have higher standard. So they have to actually, you have to qualify for everything. They have to approve everything before we can proceed with it. So they're a bit harder to get approved with, but at the same time, they do have so many programs, we can see which one you would qualify with.
So right now, with the way the rates are, what would you go? If you were buying a property, what would you go with, fixed or variable?
Right now, we are recommending to go more either 2 years or 3-year fixed until like actually the rates start going down, because the variable are pretty high right now.
Okay.
Because
So
we are expecting it to start going down the end of this year. So by 2025, 2026, when the rates are settled, this is when you actually come up for maturity. So that's when you're going to renew into a variable. So it goes back to normal.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here, like, I'm just going to share like some information, which is the market update. So back in 2021, this is when the government has actually come up with the qualification rate, which is increased the qualification rate to 5.25. And lately, because of the market and how like the increases for the prime rate has been so much, we have been actually asked to actually add 2% to that in order to qualify clients for mortgages. So here's some examples of like actually to qualify clients for mortgages if it was uninsured, which is regular mortgage. Here's the first example. So we have to qualify them at a rate of like 8.05. For example, so for every 100,000 clients ask us for, we need 25,000 income, which is this is like if that the client has no debt at all, it's only like basically the property expenses. Sorry, there was a question. No,
so,
okay.
so whatever income that they're earning, a good rule of thumb would be like if I'm a couple earning, let's say 200,000, right? I simply multiply that number by 4 and I can qualify for 800,000.
Exactly.
Okay.
Approximate, yeah. This is like, yeah, this is like, it's approximate number, like the 800,000 will be around that with today's market. It is pretty high compared to what it used to be. That's what we're hoping, like when it goes down, it's going to be easier for us. Again, like the banks are making a lot of exceptions for clients to help with today's market. That's what I'm actually telling all my clients, because with today's market, it is pretty tough for everyone to get approved. So that's why we are making a lot of exceptions, and we're using every possible way, any income we can, to help them.
Okay.
Okay, so this is for like a regular mortgage. This is for an insured. So if that was to go with like CMHC, Sagan, or CGI, so for every 100,000, you need 28,000 income.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. So here's like a few things that actually mainly we do look at. Sorry, I'm just like actually going faster, so just to leave some time for questions. So here's a few things that we actually do focus on for any approvals. First, like the credit score. So maintaining credit score, that's actually number one, because the credit score is basically, it's the client's behavior. And this is what we actually look at first to see like if the clients actually were to going to be paying our mortgage, and how they're going to be actually seeing our mortgage as like it's a serious like account, like it's how it's going to be treated, how it's going to be actually kept at. So basically, like just like last year, the insurance companies have lowered their expectation for the credit score, which is good. Right now, it's actually 600 and up. This is the requirement for the insurance. Before it used to be 650, but that helped a lot, because right now 600 and up, that actually helped a lot of clients to actually get mortgages with insurance companies and with the banks. That definitely helped more. So what we actually encourage clients right now to do, actually log into your credit bureau and see like if you have any late payments, anything actually pending that hasn't been paid, like if you have a gym membership, if you have like any phone bill that you didn't know that it wasn't paid, if you have any collection items, I encourage you like to pay those and clear it if you actually planning to buy a home in the future. That way, all this doesn't actually affect you later when you actually come to the bank to pay it off. If you have any questions, let me know. We can definitely help you at the bank how to clear that, how to get that off your credit report. That way, this won't actually affect you later, because no matter what you pay right now, if you have those items on your credit report, that would actually lower your score no matter what. Okay. So the second fact that we actually look at is income. So we actually take salaried income, hourly income, casual income. If you have average of 2 years, we do definitely take that. At BMO, we are the only institution that take long-term disability, which is by federal government, provincial government, or even like insurance companies. If you do have a confirmation letter, we do take it. We are the only institution that does take Canada Child Benefits. That actually is still considered extra income, so we do take it. That helps a lot. And self-employment income, of course, if you do have average 2 years. For down payment, as like we said earlier, for default insured mortgages, the minimum as low as like 5%. For regular mortgages, it's actually minimum 20%. And down payment can be 100% gifted if it was like 5% or 20%. The 5% actually just recently that started being 100% gifted can be actually from first family member, mother, father, a brother or sister. That can be actually, they can gift you the down payment as 5%. The insurance companies has let us actually do that. Before we weren't able to.
But a friend cannot gift another friend money.
The friend, no, we cannot. It has to be a first family member, just in case if there is any issues in the future, because they have to sign a legal document. They're not interested in the money.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Okay. So here's few things that I actually would like you to know about like our mortgages and about us. So with our mortgages that we do guarantee the rate 130 days. So we are the longest bank actually to guarantee the rates with our mortgages. So if it was a refinance or pre-approval or was a regular mortgage, we do guarantee 130 days, which is for almost 4 months. We do guide you and advise you throughout the purchase from day one to like the day of closing, and even after closing. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We are available 24/7. We do work 7 days a week, anytime, and we are licensed across Canada. So anywhere like you would like to buy, we can definitely help you. And we can take actually the application virtually. Like even if you're busy, if you can't actually come and see us in person, we can definitely meet you over Zoom or anything that would work best for you. I prefer like to see you face to face, but if you are busy, we can definitely meet you virtually, and we can take the application virtually if you would like.
Awesome. Awesome.
So yeah, go ahead.
I think we will come to a wrap up now.
Yeah.
Just keeping time into
Yeah, of course.
consideration. But guys,
So
like just so you know that as if you're buying a place and you're using a realtor, you never pay a realtor any fees, right? So why not use somebody who has so much experience where they can use their experience to help you gain financially, to make a game plan for you in long term, to help you not just accumulate just one property, but my goal for everyone that I work with is that they accumulate 3 to 5 properties, and partners like Shams here help us get the mortgage and use their knowledge to make sure that you can gain 3 to 5 properties by maybe taking equity out or using savings or gift money or whatever it might be. All right. So give us a call if you have any questions. The next step from here is if you are serious about buying, you have your money down in place and you want to start the process. The next step is for me and you to sit down and do my buyer questionnaire, which takes about half an hour for me to do. And once I do that, I know exactly what you're looking for. And then I start looking for you properties that are on MLS, but also off MLS too, because we have a database of inventory that comes up all the time in all these different Facebook pages and chats that we're on. So we'll hang around here for a few more minutes. Unmute yourself, ask any questions you may have, please.
Actually, there's few questions in the chat. I'll answer actually from the beginning. So if the default in 5 years, yes. So for Rahel, like yes. So you do get the amount that you got invested into the property, and then the default insurance will pay whatever is actually back to the bank. So that's for sure. Can you explain the pro? Yes, that we have answered. Can we get us more? Yes, that's what we have answered. So the 750,000 including GST, yes, it has to, that's the total price that Ravi have answered.
Yeah, recording will be available. It'll go on YouTube.
Yes.
So we'll do that and we'll send you a link. Now, there was a question about what if two partners have 2 jobs each?
Yes, so the 2 jobs can be actually used. So we're actually like I'll be putting my information there, so I can definitely go into the details with you. We can definitely use the income for the 2 jobs for you both. That would definitely help with increasing the amount like of the borrowing.
Yeah. How accurate is credit score on BMO site?
That's actually it's very accurate because it's TransUnion.
Yeah.
Does your status in Canada affect getting a mortgage? That basically, as long as like you are like, it depends. Right now with the changes that's actually Canada's making, we have to make sure like what's your status. That's like you shouldn't be like affecting, but it's like you just like we have to see what's your status. Again, like if you can give me a call, we can definitely check that for you, and I can see which program you would qualify under. I would have to see that.
Perfect.
Can you
Well,
get a mortgage with a work permit? We have to see if you do qualify under the program. There is changes. If you do follow actually Ravi, he's actually shared some change, the program changes, and we do have some changes for the program as like because the new regulations have been changed. If you can give me a call, I will actually go through the changes with you. Yeah.
awesome. Awesome.
Hold on.
So
Like, yeah.
you will get a call from us soon, both of us, asking you if you have any questions and to set up a time where we can maybe sit with you and understand your needs better. So we look forward to talking to you. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, my number is on the chat here. I'll put it up here, 825-881. Call me anytime, guys. Like, I'm always available to help and answer questions. And Shams' numbers right there as well on the chat too, so you can have a look at our numbers and make use of our experience and expertise, and hopefully we get to work one day and you make us part of your first-time home buying process. It's the best feeling we can get as professionals, like when we settle families into their home and give you that key for your first home.
We're here to help. We're both here to help. So any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're both here. We've done this for tons of people. We would like to actually be part of this. We would like to get you into your first home here.
Definitely. And don't let your own mind stop you from investing, because there are people who cannot buy by themselves, but there are people who we are helping right now. There's 5 friends who are getting together and buying a place. So everything is possible. Don't think that you cannot buy because of your own income. We can always get other people involved, do a joint venture, and together you can do something, right? So don't let your mind stop you from learning and taking action that you're supposed to, because the next 10-15 years are going to be fabulous for anyone who owns real estate. And my goal is that you own 3 to 5, right? Not just one. And we'll help you do that. You'll see. All right. So with that, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you trusting us and signing up for this. And every time we do this, we get a large number of people coming through. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and any questions you have, we're always here to help you. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye.